Love can be exhilarating and wonderful, but it can also be painful and complicated. Join clinical psychologist and best-selling author Dr. David Hawkins as he reveals the truth about the good, the bad, and the ugly aspects of relationships. Listen in as he gives you practical tips for hope and healing. Welcome to the podcast, Mad in Love.
Welcome again to Mad in Love. And if you are new here, I'm Dr. David Hawkins, and we are continuing our new-ish segment where my producer, Katie Buckley, is calling Dr. Hawkins Reacts, which, I got to tell you, I'm already reacting. I'm already a little anxious about this, where my guest, Jonathan Glover, is going to be bringing up issues, and I'm gonna react. And I know I'm already reactive, so it's not going to take us long to get into this. So anyway, Jonathan, welcome, and you're going to bring up issues, and I'm going to react, and then I hope I sound logical-ish and intelligent-ish, and like I've been doing this-ish for a while. And anyway. Here we go.
Jonathan, articles. We have some articles from Quora and Reddit where people have posted relationship advice, and today we have a subreddit that we're pulling from called subreddit "Am I the A-hole?" And so we're going to be reading some of these posts and these questions that people are posing to the internet. And today we're going to be posing them, the questions to you, Dr. Hawkins.
Drum roll. All right. Well, if I hope nobody's under the illusion that I'm going to have all the answers. I've got a lot of experience, so I'm going to bring, and I'm going to speak for my experience, and I'm going to do the best I can. So, all right.
Let's jump in.
Lead on. Let's get into this.
This first post again comes from Reddit, and the user is Suitable Employee 68. And she is 29, her husband's 32. She says, "My husband had a rough childhood. His dad was in and out of his life, and his mom was incredibly unstable. Lots of moving, different men, verbal abuse, neglect. I have nothing but sympathy for what my husband endured. Unfortunately, he never dealt with any of this prior to us being married, and during dating greatly understated the trauma and his feelings. As a result, he is an extremely angry person who thinks everyone is out to get him and will leave him eventually. He has severe anxiety over what others may consider minute things. For example, if I do not offer to take his dog out at night, even if I'm super tired or in the middle of something, he says that I don't love him. Small things like me not hearing him ask a question if I'm on my phone, or asking him to put headphones in when he's on his iPad, if I'm watching TV, reading, etc., result in him blowing up, yelling at me, and stonewalling me. Then saying that he's a horrible husband and I should leave him.
By the way, you've already given me way too much, Jonathan. I'm gonna keep listening, but like, my goodness, this is every couple that comes to the Marriage Recovery Center has these layers and layers and layers of stuff. Right. And like, okay, let's see. I'm already reacting. Jonathan, continue the story. I'm listening.
Okay. I frequently encouraged him to consider therapy, and he has seen a therapist now for the last year or so. We are also in couples counseling. I know trauma does not disappear and healing takes time, but I often get the brunt of his negative emotions. Recently, we were on a road trip, and he wasn't looking and almost hit a curb. I said, "Watch out for the curb." This resulted in him not speaking to me for 2 hours, then screaming at me when I asked what was wrong. I said I wasn't saying he was a bad driver, but he has a difficult time hearing anything negative because he will shut down or become angry. He will say things like, "That's your effing problem," and that he did nothing wrong. This really set me off. I don't even if I don't get why he's feeling upset at times, I would never say that's your problem to him. I always hear him out and validate his feelings. He has since apologized and said because of his past and his anxiety, he starts at 70 instead of 0. So he hits 100, his freak out mode, quicker. And he's used to his feelings not being validated, so he just assumes that I will be the same. I said I sympathize with his past, but it's no excuse for how
I'm
he
hearing
speaks to me.
way too much now, Jonathan, but keep going. But
And we're at the
there's
end here.
a lot of stuff here. Okay.
Basically, she's asking if she's being compassionate enough, and then she says, "Am I the jerk here?"
Oh my goodness sake. So like I got about 17 reactions here. Number one, this is life. While anybody who reads this is gonna have the same reaction I'm having, like, oh my goodness, there's so many dynamics going on here. How could they possibly have a healthy relationship where, he's got this troubled past? By the way, Jonathan, his troubled past leads to what I call, there's a lot of just trauma for sure, but it leads to emotional immaturity. So emotional immaturity, if you think about like a 6-year-old, I've got grandkids now that are roughly that age, and they're reacting to everything. Don't talk to me that way, or I can't believe you did this, or why'd you do that? They're just reaction machines. And this boy sounds like a reaction machine. Is she the a-hole? No. However, she is, and this is a producer, Katie Buckley, take note here. This is another broadcast because what she's doing is she's over-functioning. And there's lots of stuff written about the over-functioning woman who becomes kind of mother-like. And we hear the women who come to the Marriage Recovery Center, Jonathan, and they lament and they say, I don't want to be his mother. And yet he's acting childish. He's oversensitive. He's overreactive. He flips it back on her, and you can see her scrambling. So she's enabling really bad behavior. Is she the a-hole? No, she's not at all. But she is overfunctioning, and so she's enabling this destructive pattern. So he gets to keep acting like a 6-year-old. He gets to. She doesn't want him to, but he's afraid of abandonment. He's overreactive. Anything she says, he takes as criticism. Some of it is, by the way, criticism. It's like, hey, would you please be careful? Hey, would you put away your dishes? Hey, would you hang up your clothes? Hey, would you, whatever it is that we all consider like men don't act like little boys. But anyway, so he's going to, I'll stop with this. He's going to weekly counseling, probably not addressing these characterological issues, the emotional immaturity, the emotional reactiveness, all the things that are going on. My goodness, can you even imagine, Jonathan, in 45, 50 minutes a week, whoever his therapist is can't possibly be seeing this stuff. They're going to marriage counseling, good for them, but there is a lot of work to be done. These are the kinds of men, I really will stop with this. This is a man who, I would want him to be going to Celebrate Recovery. I'd want him to be doing individual counseling. I want him to read every book I've written, and that's a bunch, by the way. That's not a plug for my books, but I've written a bunch. Anyway, I'd want him to be reading every book, and I'd want them to be doing couples work, and I'd want et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go.
If you were seeing them though, in couples, let's say they came in and it's your first session with them and you're hearing this story, what would you tell her? I mean, how is she supposed to react to this type of toxic behavior? And, he's doing the blame shifting, he's doing the derailing, he's minimizing, he's just completely taking over and powering over. What would you advise her to do in response?
Yeah, this is a situation where frankly, I kind of like these kind of situations. I mean, you and we're in the trenches, so we roll up our sleeves. So I do an evaluation with this couple, and I see this kind of emotional reactivity on his part. I see these anger issues. I see all this acting out, and I see her over functioning, trying to be careful how she talks, trying to this and that. So number one is I take them aside, so to speak, and we do a marriage evaluation. And so now I'm sitting with them and I'm going, I'll just say Tim and Tina. We'll call them Tim. I don't know what their name. Do we know their names?
No, it's the original
Suitable Employee 68.
Yeah, Suitable Employee 68 and husband.
Well, I'm going to call them Tim and Tina that's not their names. But hey, look, Tim and Tina, I'm not hearing any boundaries. There's no guardrails. So there's no boundaries. So it's chaos. So you guys have chaos. So Tina, you are trying to guard against upsetting him. No, Tina, let's sit down. So the three of us, let's sit down and let's determine what are healthy boundaries. One is, when you're angry, you share that you're angry. You don't call names. You don't slam doors. You don't stomp off. You don't stonewall. You don't shift the blame. We talk about our feelings in this relationship, and I'm going to be coaching you how to talk about these different problems, but healthy boundaries. So Tina, you're not his mother. Well, yeah, but he acts like a boy. I don't. I mean, no offense, I don't care. I don't want you acting like a mother. I want you to stay in your role, which is your wife. You're a 30. Do we know their ages? Anyway, I think didn't you say
29.
An age? 29.
She's
okay, you're 29.
He's 32.
Yeah, come on. It's old enough. So you, Tina, are going to act like a woman who's got a mate. And if he acts childish, you confront that. Anyway, healthy boundaries. Role expectations, being clear about what our roles are and what they aren't. And then we go from there. So healthy boundaries with healthy consequences. And what do we do when we violate boundaries? All right. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the next sticky part that I often hear is she says, well, I do that to some extent. I try to do that, but then he accuses me of, when I'm setting boundaries, when I'm saying this is my reaction, he accuses me of being controlling and being punitive and punishing him. Then what would be the advice for her if that was the response? Because I can hear it. That's
very interesting, and this is the stuff that happens all the time, Jonathan. So she would need to remind herself. So I'll talk to both of them. So she's just turned to me and she said, Dr. Hawkins, what do I do when he accuses me of this, that, and that? And I say, oh, that can be pretty straightforward. You don't react to it. You don't defend yourself. You say to Tim, this is Tina, you say to Tim, I'm happy to talk this out with you if we can talk about it in a balanced way. If you're going to start accusing me of blame shift, or if you're going to blame shift, if you're going to accuse me of this and that, if you're going to minimize, rationalize, justify, catastrophize, if you're going to do all that stuff, I'm not in for that. I'm in to have an adult to adult conversation about what just happened. But I'm not going to react to your reaction. So remember what Dr. Hawkins said, that we can talk about anything at any time, but not in any way. And Dr. Hawkins was really wise when he said that. Wasn't he? You're nodding your head now, Jonathan. Okay.
Yes.
We can talk about if I ruled the world, everybody would have this on their bumper stickers. We can talk about anything at any time, not quite any time, by the way, but it sounds good. It rolls. We can talk about anything at any time, but not in any way. I'm not. So Tina says to Tim, I'm not going to fight with you about what just happened, where you didn't like what I said. If you want to come to me and talk about your feelings. If you want to make an observation about what just happened, and if you want to share your feelings, and if you want to make a request of me, I'm there. I'll show up for that all day long. So, make sense?
Absolutely. I have another one actually that relates to, you named boundaries. You were talking about boundaries, and this one's a little different because this has to do with boundaries with this poster's parents, not with her spouse. This post was originally
Okay, this is we're leaving suitable exchange 68.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's fine. But
unless you
I
had
think
other thoughts.
No. I mean, anybody listening to that, I think tragically, Jonathan, what's happening in that relationship is happening in many, many, many relationships. Maybe not to that extent, but everybody, while we might raise our eyebrows and go, "Oh man, alive, are they a hot mess?" We're all a hot mess. I mean, on my bad days, I can be reactive to my wife, Christy. I can blame shift. I can walk out of the room. I can do destructive things. So I don't want to be too critical of Tim and Tina. I want everybody to hear in their story, wow, we all do that. We all do that stuff. And how do we show up in a healthier way, balanced emotionally, managing our emotion, doing all the things that you teach couples how to do: manage emotions, tolerate distress, stay emotionally connected. Man, it is all of our work to do that, and it's a good work. All right. Next situation.
What gave me a little bit of hope there at the end is she mentioned that he did return to her and apologize. He took some ownership of the behaviors and said, I'm recognizing that this is causing problems. And a lot of times that, unfortunately, when I'm meeting with couples for the first time or for a marriage evaluation, one or both of them are not in a place where they are taking ownership of their behaviors and naming them for themselves. And so hearing that would give me some hope with working with this couple that he's taking those first steps towards being able to do the repair work necessary to address and change these behaviors.
I can't say it any better than you just said. That's incredible work that you do, Jonathan, and it's incredible work that we all do to increase individuals' awareness of their reactivity. What are we doing? Watching ourselves. And then you used an incredibly powerful word that I want to amplify, and that is taking ownership. That's a whole nother podcast on how do we take ownership, as opposed to you. I had a person earlier today who said, yeah, she acts parental because I act childish. And I said, yeah, no, not because. She does act parental, and I get it, how she could feel provoked, but she's got some free agency in all that, as he has some agency. You follow me? And so ownership means, oh my goodness, I'm slipping into being parental, or I'm slipping into being childish, and I need to not do that regardless of what my mate does. One more thought on this, Jonathan, and that is, and the cool thing, research supports this, that so we got a parent-child dynamic taking place, and that happens in many, many, many relationships. But if I move into an adult mode, you're more likely to move into an adult mode. So emotions are contagious. If I act childish, you're more inclined to act parental or childish with me. And we can flip-flop. I'll scold you, you scold me. But if I say, you know what, I'm gonna give me a moment here. I want to manage my emotions. I want to stay balanced here. You're going to be more inclined to stay balanced as well. It's contagious on a positive note.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.